Oh, sorry. Let's start the show. How's everybody doing tonight? Thank you for tuning in. We are going to switch things up. I'm going to go to the executive consultant first. How you doing?
Oh, thank you for finally realizing I'm the true executive.
Listen, I wanted to mess around with somebody backstage, and I had to do it. How are we doing?
Doing well. I'm, very happy to be reviewing your 10th Tale of Terror this evening. Such a pleasure as always.
Get ready for number 11.
I'm sure.
I'm gonna give him some time. He's going through a little bit. I think somebody stepped on a plant today, but he's a good guy. I know he's stronger than everything that's coming against him. So I'm gonna bring in the executive consultant. How are you doing, sir?
Doing excellent and fantastic and wonderful at the same time because I'm the man, right? I'm the man.
The energy builds as he speaks. Did you notice that?
Yes. Only right. There's a little momentum.
And then it drops as he doesn't speak. And last but not least, perhaps the kindest one of us all, here we have Vic. Vic, how are you doing, sir?
Fantastic this evening.
The consummate professional, I have to say this. And if you're in the tri-state area, you might want to check him out. He has some wonderful properties. He's teaching you how to grow plants. He's a great guy. Bring him that money. All right, so tonight we have my pick, as Chrissy alluded to. It is, in fact, the 10th Tale of Terror, as she says. But there's some comedy to it. There's some pulp to it. It is Tales from the Crypt, Demon Night. We have our first comment of the night. Damian Jones says, great movie, Damian. Maybe I agree with you. Maybe I agree with you. I'll save that for later. Let me jump into the synopsis, then I'll tell you why I picked this movie. And then whoever wants to take best of worst, they can go, or they might put it on me since it's my pick. I don't know. But here we have it. A mysterious stranger finds himself one of many at a small town hotel in New Mexico as he is pursued by an equally mysterious man claiming to be the rightful owner of a stolen relic. And that essentially, in a broad way, is the synopsis for this movie. Now, I picked this movie because it's a favorite of mine. I grew up watching Tales from the Crypt in the 90s. It used to come on at like 11:30, 12:30, depending on where you lived. In the DC area, I think it was like 12:30, depending. Sometimes it was 11:30, depending on what year it was. And I used to love the best part of this, and this is giving away some of my best of worst stuff, the opening camera scroll when you would go through the little property of the Crypt Keeper. You go through the mansion, the music's playing. As I just found out, it's by Danny Elfman. I never knew that Danny Elfman did it. That's impressive. I can't whistle at all, but that's pretty good. And I used to wait, even though it freaked me out as a child seeing the Crypt Keeper jump out of the coffin. I used to wait for that cackle at the end. I loved it. So when this one came out, you have a little bit of pulp, as I said. You have the comedy, you have the horror, you have almost, what do they call that? Not canon is not the word. It's not a comic book, but pseudo religion, in there, some elements, religious elements in there. So it's a little bit of everything for everybody. And this movie really, again, another giveaway to one of the best things I like about this, is a star-studded casted movie. And I think the acting in this is just fantastic. I always have fun watching it. It's something that I can put on in the background, but I always come back to it because I love the scene, or I want to watch that scene, or I want to watch that scene. So I thought that the audience might enjoy it as well if they hadn't seen it, and those who had, they know what I'm talking about. Now, who would like to go for the first segment, best of worst stuff, unless you want to push this on me?
I forget. I'll go.
Okay.
Let's see. Best of. Well, just like Jane alluded to earlier, everything that had to do with the opening and the closing of the Crypt, especially because of watching that show, the music, the everything, especially at the end of the show, which was freaking genius of them to do. In my opinion. Just to have you literally leaving the house, and then the door, and then the gate closed in front of you, like they literally did it just like the door, just like, and even in the beginning of the movie. Hello, kitties. I loved it. I loved everything with, and mind you, even like in the beginning of the movie when he, when the Crypt was a director.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. Because clearly that was for people that watched the show. I mean, it was clearly for people that watched the show. If you watched the show, then you definitely got into this movie. Let's see. I mean, honestly, like the only parts that I didn't like, and that's probably because of the amount of time that has passed, was just like, you know, how cheesy some of the CGI looked, and I don't really think that has anything to do with the quality of the movie itself. I think that's just about the time.
Agreed.
Because yeah, because other than that, that was the only bad part, honestly. Like the acting, like you alluded to earlier, the acting was great. I love the fact that Jada Pinkett didn't die, because you see Scream, you know that she's one of the first ones to, you know what I mean? So like, I was just like, you know, throughout this movie, I was like, all right, when they gonna give it to Jada? Because like, you know what I'm saying? I had never seen it, so I would just assume
this is the first time you saw it.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
because at first I thought it was Bordello of Blood that we was gonna.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, that's the one that I seen. I had never seen this one, so I was like, which is shocking to me because I love that show. And yeah, it was great. It was great. It was just a great movie.
So like, I was just like,
yeah, kitty. Hello, kitty.
I'm gonna jump in here, Chris, if you don't mind. I already mentioned two of them. The opening theme, Vic said it. I'm gonna piggyback that. I just love that. That opening sequence is great. Whenever if you're a fan of the show, even if you just watched it from time to time, everybody knows that sequence. It's just iconic to me. The cast, you may not know their names, right? If you're not big into knowing the actors' names in these movies, but you've definitely seen their work before. I'll get more into that in the final thoughts. But when I tell you it's an all-star cast, and they really got into the characters and the roles that they were playing in this pulpy world, right? This comic book come to life. I mean that completely. That alone is, for me, thumbs up. I like the fact that even though it's an ensemble cast, I off the top of my head, I can't remember how many people you see throughout the movie, but you really get a slice of that small town. You get the personalities of the people. You get who's truly mean versus who's a curmudgeon, so to speak, who's reliable, who's not. And I love the fact that you see them come all together, right? Now, Damien already said in the comments, salute to Billy Zane in this movie is what I call Michael Fassbender in the X-Men and the Young X-Men, okay? Because he brought it to this role, all right? Now, I think this is pre-Titanic. I think this movie is 96. Titanic is, 97, a year later or something? I don't know which one he shot first, but just you can see the charisma, right? And he's not, again, as I said in the last episode, he's not a mustache twirling villain. I think those are boring. He has a personality. He has motivations. He tries to, in this movie, you see him, and another thing that I like, you see the different temptations of the different people. He doesn't tempt them all the same way, right? Some it's very easy for him. Some it's not. Some he has to cajole. Some he tells them something very simple, as with the case of Cordelia, you know what I mean? Because nobody ever told her that, perhaps, right? We're led to believe. Whereas the way he comes to Geraldine is very, very different. You know, he says, do you want to travel around the world? And he throws like 2 or 3 different things at her: travel, eternal youth, and not dying. Whereas, as I said, with Cordelia, it's purely, you just want to be loved and appreciated, right? Uncle Willie is the best temptation for me because the actor, Chrissy is shaking her head because she thinks I'm going in one direction. That also, by the way, is very 90s. Admittedly, it's just a 90s thing coming in from the 80s. The whole slasher aesthetic. It is what it is. You know what I mean? Nowadays, you wouldn't get that. A la, as I talked about in our Coming to America review. But in the 90s, that's the tail end of seeing something like that, right? That's almost like the very end of that, and lets us like a very, very B movie. No disrespect to those movies. But what I liked about that sequence is Willie is an alcoholic. He's an older man, right? And the whole time he's saying, oh, I stopped drinking. But we always catch him drinking. So what does Billy Zane tempt him with as this head demon, right? He comes in there and he's looking for one of the characters, and at first we don't see what he sees, right? But his reaction is what makes that so funny to me, because he's like, holy you know. And then it cuts to his temptation view, and you have all these young women, and they love him and everything like that. They're adoring him, but he's excited about that. But really, he's excited about all the bottles of liquor they handle him. And I thought that was very realistic, because for him, that is the woman. Those bottles are the women, you know what I mean? And he's almost absentmindedly aware of those and in the scene they're topless, so you have an understanding what I'm talking about. They're second hand to him, right? The thing is, those bottles of liquor that have been taken away from him in the waking world, and his reaction to that is so true to life. I just really, really appreciate that. As I always say, I like realistic things, and his reaction is like, "Hot damn, I can't believe it." I imagine he's a kid in what do they call it, a candy factory or whatever like that. I like Breaker and his flashback scenes. There are different scenes in this movie where somebody is doing something, some innocuous action, but it reminds him of the memories of the many different lifetimes of the protectors, I guess you call them, that he is following after, right? In the movie, you find out that they inherit the memories of them, and to some degree, I guess, experiences or knowledge, working knowledge or whatever like that. And it's not a working memory. It's all conjumbled in there. So somebody will be hammering and he'll remember hammering, but way back when, a pivotal scene, I don't want to give that away. Somebody else can, it doesn't matter, right? Or they'll do something else and he remembers something else from a different lifetime. And to me, because I like history and all of that and sci-fi, it made it really, really cool to me. You know what I mean? Especially, I'll give this one away, when we see how he became one of them, and it's in World War I. So me being a history guy, I know that has to be at the latest 1917, and this movie came out in 96. So the man is like 100 and something years old, you know, at this point. And I thought, wow, that's really, really cool. And I wonder how many lifetimes a person could live. It was just a really, really interesting thing, and I really, really did like that. And the last thing I'll mention is it was just interesting to me. I don't really have a bad thing that I don't like about it. I agree with Vic. If anything, I would say the special effects, but obviously we don't know what the budget was, and it's 1996 when this movie came out. But it's very interesting because the things that he tempts or tries to tempt Geraldine with, she ends up getting them all in the end anyway, when she becomes the next collector. And I did like the fact that she didn't die. I like the fact that she thought on her feet, right? That the first time she didn't want to kill Uncle Willie when he's possessed because she knew him, but it was go time, and she got it. It wasn't this, oh, I need help, you know. It was go time, you know what I mean? And I loved it. I loved that she was strong in that, you know what I mean? And she had to play it right to do it. And the fact when she not swallows, but when she holds the blood in her mouth as her last resort and waits for the right moment, that was a great sequence, you know what I mean? I just love that part. But anybody who else wants to go more stuff?
That's what I thought was gonna happen. I thought she was gonna kill him and then, like, you know, pull all the blood down his throat. That's what I was looking for. Mm-hmm. But you know, it was just good, just as what she did.
So I'll go because there were a couple things that I noticed in the movie. One of them being the main character, or the lead character, the lead male character, Breaker. I want to say his name was, or Breaker. Anyone who knows me knows I'm a very big Roswell fan. The old Roswell, yes, and he was the sheriff in Roswell, and I knew him instantly. Oh, okay, yeah,
that's the with the Dido song, right?
Yeah, okay. I won't sing it, but yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, okay. All right, I'm with you. I watched a
great show, but I enjoyed seeing him in this movie in his younger days, because he definitely looked quite a bit younger, even though I'm not sure. Maybe about 10 years later it was on that show. I'm not sure. But anyway, I enjoyed seeing him.
03, right?
What you said?
That was like 03, like 2000 to 03, 04, something like that.
Yeah, I know it's the early 2000s. Yeah. So now my favorite scene was probably it's honestly, when I was watching the movie, it's hard for me to pick a favorite scene because it felt like an acid trip, honestly. When I was watching, it was so much going on, like so much visually, and like even the practical effects. Yeah, the CGI wasn't good, but it was still scary to me. Like it was just gory and gross. And one scene in particular that sticks out, and I wrote it down because it was so gross to me. It was after Demon Knight, you know, Billy Titanic guy, you know who I'm talking about.
Billy Zane.
Yeah, Billy Zane. He's tempting Jada Pinkett's character, Geraldine. And she doesn't take the bait, and she spits in his face.
Yeah.
And the consistency of this spit in the movie was so disgusting to me. It was like cottage cheese. And I'm like, what kind of nasty woman or nasty special effects person? It was disgusting. Mm-hmm. So the movie to me was more disgusting than like scary. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But one of my favorite scenes was probably, they were like in the attic area, and it was the older woman. Her name escapes me at the moment.
Oh, CCH Pounder, Irene.
Mm-hmm. So her arm is chopped off.
Yeah.
And of course, Billy Zane comes up and tries to tempt her again. He's like, hey, I can get you your arm, do this, do that. And she, with the nub of that she still has left, pointed at him. And I'm thinking in the back of my mind, oh, maybe she has a gun wrapped underneath there. That's what it is. She's about to shoot him. But he was like, oh, what is this? She said, oh, I'm giving you the finger with her nub, because she doesn't have his arm, is gone at this point. Mm-hmm. I like that she kind of had that hero's end where, she sacrificed herself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The women were bringing it this movie.
To me, like I just have to, Chris, I don't mean to cut you off. Let me just say this. I've said it before. I do get emotional in movies. There are certain movies that I get emotional in, but it's more what's going on. And I will say, if I ever see somebody do something genuinely like self-sacrificing, heroic, that to me is so honorable. It makes me cry because I respect it so much. And when I don't want to give it away if people haven't seen it, but what you're talking about, because I liked her character, and you're like, damn, I don't want her to go, but she went out like a hero, like a champion. You know what I mean? It was great.
She was a boss lady, and she did what needed to be done. Like I said, the women were really bringing it. This movie, aside from Cordelia, but we don't talk about it.
The Pepco worker.
Yeah. So those were probably my favorite scenes. And again, my least favorite scene is the spit, because that was disgusting. And also the fact that when the temptation came to Jerry Lynn's time, it was time for her to get her temptation. Because it's the 90s, the hip hop music had to come on. So I was like, had to give it a side eye, but again, it's a time period, so you kind of have to forgive it to a certain extent. But yeah, that was a little like side eye. But who would like to go next?
Oh, I think I'm the only one left, right? So I'll go next. Yeah, I hit the bell. Good. So I'll start off with my worst scene. My worst scene of the movie. How can I put this? The worst scene in the movie was the beginning in the dark, where there was a car, and then they ended up at a motel that was really cheesy, that they all ate together. And then this guy comes who's tall, dark, and handsome and looks like a villain, but nobody can tell. And then, everybody pretty much just dies. Spoiler alert. Chrissy nailed it right on the head. See, Superior, when she said acid trip, right? And I wanted to put acid in my eyes and have them shoot out green things, just like all the demons in this movie, because that's how I felt when I was watching this movie. But if we go to my best scene was actually when the collector, as they call him, punched that one cop in the head, and it went through his skull, and he was just moving around with it for a long time. I thought that was pretty cool. I did like that. That was my favorite scene. I was last, right? Okay, that's it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is our best stuff and our worst stuff. When we come back, we're going to go to quotables as well as recasted. Thank you so much for watching this tonight. Find out what we're going to be reviewing next Tuesday. Stay with us. You're watching Unpopular Review.
I don't think we're here to get better. This place takes your greatest fear and makes you live through it until it kills you. Who's there?
I apologize. Chrissy is unfortunately, the Superior is on mute and she doesn't know it. And but it's because she hasn't been here on some Tuesdays, so she's a little out of practice. But ladies and gentlemen, we are back here, and this coming Tuesday, speaking of Tuesday, we're going to be reviewing the New Mutants. But today we're reviewing Mr. James's pick of Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight, and we're about to get into our next segment, which is called Quotables. Executive Consultant here, James C. the Superior, and the Crypt down there. Please make sure you like, love, and share this, and subscribe to us on YouTube or Twitch or whatever social media platform you have, because we have it all. but Snapchat. So, who wants to go first with their quotables? I volunteer as Tribune. I'll go first with my quotables because I don't have any. There you go. Who's next?
I'll go because I'm prepared. But I will say
I don't have any quotes.
that with New Mutants, I have not seen New Mutants, and contrary to what Mr. James said last episode, I did watch Dark Phoenix. Horrible movie. Do not recommend. Thumbs down. But
we're talking about this movie. I don't know.
Yeah, I understand that.
You weren't here.
Mr.
You weren't
Executive.
here. You weren't here.
Yes. So let's talk about the movie that I have my quotables for that some of us do not.
I didn't have any quotables.
So, this is coming from the Crypt Keeper himself. One second here. So he looks into the camera. He looks at the camera. He says, "So if you're ready, creeps, fasten your drool cups and hold on to your vomit bags. We're going to the movies." Thought it was cute. It was something that that caught my ear when I heard it. So that's my quotables for this evening. Who's next?
I got a lot of them. I don't know if Vic wants to go. Ron, I'm not sure if that is TikTok yuck. I'm not sure. I don't get that one.
I got one. Okay. I got one. I had that one that Chrissy just said, but when
I didn't get what you were doing at first, Vic. I'm sorry. That caught me off guard. Go ahead.
When the main bad guy says, you humans, you're not worth the flesh that you're printed on. I thought that was interesting. I didn't have a chance to put it up here in enough time, but I thought that quote was interesting. That was at the point where they pretty much first realized he was a demon, and they didn't let him in the door and shit like that, and he got all upset. And then he said that you humans are not worth the flesh that you're printed on. So yeah, that's it.
As Chrissy said, this movie has obviously if you know the Crypt Keeper and everything like that, but this movie, as Chrissy said, has a lot of puns in it. Goofy, sometimes slapstick humor in it, right? Damien agrees with you, Vic. The entire line was awesome. And so some of that it's just funny to me, and I just liked it. Okay, I'm gonna start with the first one. As Chris mentioned, and some of the words that he didn't like, but in the beginning, Breaker is chased by the Collector, right? Billy Zane's character, and so the cars end up colliding with each other, and the sheriff and the deputy come upon the scene, and it's inflamed, right? And so the deputy, who reminded me really of Bulk from Bulk and Skull from Power Rangers. Just the way, just his character actions, his he comes running to the sheriff and he says, "Sheriff, you're right. They had to be going over 100 miles an hour. Well, if you can see the screen, it's like fire, smoke, and everything. Like, duh, obviously, right?" And so the sheriff goes, "Well, Bob, it's too late to give him a ticket. You know what I mean? Like, what are you telling me for? Like, So it just made me laugh because, like, yeah, and what do we? There's nobody here. What are we gonna do? They're dead, or so they thought. Another one is Cordelia. She follows Roach outside, and Roach leaves her when they find out the demon's outside the church. And so, to Cordelia's credit, I think she slaps or punches the demon in the face, and the demon is like unfazed. And then she's like, "I'm sorry." It just made me laugh because in like a Looney Tunes, this movie's like a Looney Tunes thing, as everybody's saying, like acid, like what's going on. I could see somebody doing that. It's the same for me in like Scooby-Doo when they see what they think is a ghost and then they run like, in place and then they take off. When she goes, "I'm sorry," like it's like there's this threat, but it's almost like a Looney Tunes thing. They're off the cliff, but they're not falling yet. It just made me laugh. It's goofy, but it's realistic in that universe. So that made me laugh. To Irene, the owner of this hotel, as Chrissy pointed out, the boss lady herself. "Damn it, get that pussy off the table." Then she smoked. I was talking about the cat. So that's why I can say it on the show. It's a funny line, you know what I mean? It's very 90s, but I love that the actress herself was even smirking, like, you know what I mean? Like a wink and a nod at the camera. It was just great.
That was a good one.
Chrissy, you mentioned this when the collector Billy Zane is trying to tempt Geraldine, right? And the first thing he says to her is, before she even sees him, right? She just sees what he's showing her. He goes, "Do me a favor, don't scream. Just hear what I've got to say, and then scream." The way that Billy Zane delivers that line, it was just very charismatic, because he was always like, I don't want to call him seductress. That's not the word, but like he was like the playboy. You know,
he was
what I mean?
very charming, and that's why I was
Yeah.
like, that's why they called it Demon Knight with a K, because he was like a dark knight.
The knight is the protector. Like the dark knight.
The whole time I was thinking him, because he was given very much that energy. I don't know, like that sexy knight in shining armor, but kind of bad.
Yeah, but he was like this charming thing, and you would imagine if a demon came, they obviously are not going to come like the minion looking demons. They're going to come charming.
Beautiful.
And he was even charming the cops until they found out that his identification was falsified too. You know.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then this is what he says later in that same scene to Geraldine. "All right, I know what you're thinking. Give up your soul, turn into a demon. You look like Where's the payoff, right?" Again, it's funny because I would be thinking the same thing. Why would it? Because he's like, "I can make you look beautiful and young forever," and she's thinking, "Well, why would I do that? Because then I'm gonna look crazy like these other things." And he says, "I know what you're thinking. You're gonna look ugly. You're gonna give up your soul. What's the payoff?" And he's like, "I can make sure you never look like that." So again, it was a funny, realistic, in-world comment that he would do. And again, credit goes to Billy Zane for the way he did that. I'm gonna give two more. Again, another Billy Zane one. "Has anyone ever told you how pretty you are? I know that sounds like a line. Lord knows I've used it, but I mean it." It was just funny. It's so cheesy, but he's selling it, man. He's chewing the scenery up and he's selling it, and I love it. This one is between when Roach betrays everybody and he erases the blood barrier so that now the demons can come up to the top of the hotel where everybody is hiding, and Roach goes, who's played by Sandman, okay, for those Tom and Hayden Christensen.
He was on George of the Jungle. That's where I know him from.
George of the Jungle. So he's going down the stairs. He's passing the regular looking demon people, and he says, "You know what? This hell on earth is not as bad as you think." You know, and he goes, "Vaya con Dios" to Billy Zane's character. Now, Billy Zane, because he's a demon, he wouldn't say that, right? Which means go with God, obviously, right? He goes, "And vaya con Diablos to you too." It's made me laugh because it's funny. Obviously, if you know what he's saying, means go with those demons too, or go with the devils. But obviously, that's what his character would say. You know what I mean? Because he's a demon. You know, he wouldn't say go with God. No, go with those demons. And he literally meant it because they ate him alive later on. And that's the last of the quotes that I'll read out.
Yeah, it was all lies. That's what I liked. He lied to him. He was probably lying to Geraldine. He was just telling him all these falsities and everything. But yeah, I enjoyed his character in the movie. So that leads us to recast it, correct?
Yes, yes.
So who would like to volunteer?
That's right, recast it where we take something of the movie, whether it be a scene, whether it be a person, whatever have you, and replace it with something we think is just as good, if not better. And we just heard it. The Crypt down there, with all his skin intact, has volunteered to start. So I'm really interested in this segment for some of you all. Vic, what do we got?
Okay, the lady in the beginning of the movie that was changing with the black bra and the white blonde, the blonde and all of that right before they cut the director's scene.
There we go. I'm like, who is he going to recast her as?
You know what? I was about to say, where's your picture? But I realized why you can't have a picture of this woman on the screen. That will be flagged and the video will be taken down. But okay, I'm not mad at that recast.
Was that your only recasted Crypt?
This movie was good.
All right, queen of recasted, as you so well call yourself. Do you have any recasted for this movie?
I do, and I am going to recast. Actually, I was going to recast two, but I said, let me pace myself. Let me just do my signature one. So it was between Geraldine and Bryker, who I was going to recast. So I went with Geraldine just because I love Roswell. And I couldn't do it to my boy. But here we are. We have Jada Pinkett Smith looked beautiful throughout the movie, just young and vibrant. And when I was looking at her, I said, hold on, I know who could play this character. Give me 1 second while I get it to upload here. But it was something about like that almost tomboyness that she has that I feel like could really be done well with another actress. Now, she hasn't been in that many films that I know of, but she was in a recent film that was just released. And she did an okay job. She had a small part, but something in me feels that she could play this part, and that is Teyana Taylor.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Yeah, she has that same energy almost.
Mm-hmm.
What is
What is
with you exactly in looking at people's energy in these movies? Tuesday you were on the comments talking about BDE, and then earlier you were talking about Billy Zane and his energy, and now we're talking about Teyana Taylor and her energy along with Jada Pinkett.
Some of us have the gift, some of us do not.
Some of us also have a gift of doing very well with our recasting, and some of us do not.
Me, which is why I'm the queen.
But now
you're
the latter. James,
who likes to go next?
You are next.
That's a really, really good. I see what you're saying, especially in what's that Kanye video that she did? Where she's like a working out or whatever.
I know that song, the Fade Away or something. Yeah, Fade. Yeah.
Jada Pinkett, especially in the 90s, if you know her work and everything like that. That's why I didn't mind. I know what you're talking about, Chrissy. Like today, they would, depending on how they did it, it might be like, where are we going? With this hip hop, all of a sudden, like these McDonald's commercials.
Mm-hmm.
But back then, because obviously, if you know like her movies and everything, and where she came from, it made sense for who that character was. Now, if it's a different black lady, just random black lady, no. I agree with you completely. But that Teyana Taylor, I do like that one.
Thank you.
Now, listen, I like everybody in this movie, but of course, I do my recast differently from everybody else. I do it based on who they look like or who they remind me of. Hence why I think that Teyana Taylor recasted was great. And I'll even give credit to Vic's cold open recasted of the random actress in the tub with Miss Silhouette herself, Miss Silhouette, who will, I'm sure, be back later in this year in 2021. But I'm going to recast Willie. Now, Willie is standing next to Cordelia, his love, his paramour, who doesn't know she's his paramour. And they're talking to Roach, who's off camera right now. But Willie, right here we go. Willie is right there. And he's a lovesick puppy. I guess that's why Chris put up the other picture or whatever like that.
I did not do that. That was not me.
But he's a lovesick puppy, and he's really, really pathetic. But that is Charles Fleischer. Now, if you know,
really, really pathetic.
Huh?
Sorry, I just had to agree with you. Really, really, really.
So it was Vic who
the culprit.
I apologize. Vic, you are the guilty one.
No, that guy pisses me off.
I'm sorry, Vic. I'm sorry. You had your turn. Now listen. So that's Charles Fleischer. That's Charles Fleischer. Thank you, Vic. That's Charles Fleischer. If you know Charles Fleischer, you know his whole background and everything like that. He's a prolific voice actor. He's actually in one of my favorite movies, Back to the Future 2. He's the voice of Roger Rabbit. But this is not about that. As I said, this is a star-studded cast. But when I looked at him, he reminded me of somebody. And those who watch SNL in the early 90s will know exactly who this is. I'll pause before I say who it is, if you recognize that picture. Now, everybody's saying, who's that? Vic and I know it's Pat. No pun intended and no rhyme meant for that. But It's Pat is an androgynous character. Now, I don't mean this anything for, I know nowadays people are going to view that as some kind of thing, commentary, something like that. I'm not viewing it as that, as I just said in preface. They look alike. Now, I'll show you the other picture because I'm not reading any emails, any comments, and nothing like that. I don't have time for your foolishness. Damon, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Miss me with the foolishness, okay? So that's Willie. Look at the hair. Look at how he slumped over. Look at the blue shirt.
Yeah, the posture.
And now it's Pat. And if you've ever seen It's Pat, the sketch on SNL, you'll know exactly why I recast it as that. Miss me with the no, don't put up tomfoolery as if I'm saying anything other than that, because I can't say it for the algorithm, but people who know, they already know. Nowadays, it's everything canceled this, and you don't even know the context of what I'm talking about. So that's why Willie is recasted as Pat from SNL, and that's my recast.
For all the fans that might be new, I'm the executive consultant. I humbly do this show, of course, with Season Superior to Crypt and James, and I usually go last in these things because in case anybody's like, wow, they're really, really making fun of people when they do these recasted, I'm here to clean it up. And I'm talking about the Crypt with his first one, that silhouette person, because of the woman that was in plastic when she first appeared on, you know. So I completely understand why he did it, but I'm here to clean it up and to bring pride and respect to this segment of recasting. So we're going to start off like this. Respect. Okay, see, Vic is still playing games. This is what I'm talking about. This is why I go last, right? We're going to respect, right? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to recast Billy Zane's character, which is called the Collector. Head demon, not a low level. And you're probably saying, well, he did such a great job. Who could you replace him at? Every time I saw him, and I will say, this is the most charismatic, this is the best character in this movie, by far. But every time I saw him, I can only see one person. I think the funny thing is he was recasted as this person before, and that's him.
Yeah.
He looked exactly like Lex Luthor, right? And he had the swag. I won't say energy because I'm not giving Steve Superior any more credit than she already is because I see her.
You just stole my recasted. You already just give me the credit.
That's fine. So go ahead because I see you down there already rocking and stuff like that. But anyway, the bottom line is
what credits do?
He reminded me of him. And I was like, Dad, this guy could play Lex Luthor easily. Put him in the Snyder cut. No offense to Jesse Eisenberg, but put him in the Snyder cut. All right? Put
Eisenberg. Caden any ideas?
Put Eisenberg in the Caden cut. All right? That's how I look at it. Put Eisenberg in the Caden cut, but put this man in the Snyder cut, and I think it'll be good. I have another recaster for you. I had a few recasted. I said, this little boy got on my freaking nerves, right? But I want to respect him because that's what I do. I respect people in this show, right? This little boy got on my nerves, though. He just appeared out of nowhere in a cave, you know, or mine. Like, what are you doing down there? Go home. Go to parents. Oh, but the parents turned into demons. But they were still babysitting them, so they were still better than most parents nowadays. Anyway, so I was like, who could this person remind me of? Who's equally as annoying? There they go. If you watch Full House in the 90s, this is one of the Olsen twins. Take your pick, whichever one you want to call it.
I'll give you that.
That's who they reminded me of.
Cut it out, dude. What did she used to say?
I don't even know because I fell asleep. I fell asleep, and every time I saw Danny, you got to do. Thank you, Vic. Every time I saw one of the Olsen twins in Full House, I fell asleep. And every time I saw this little child, I really wanted, and I'm sorry, let me put the child back up here. I wanted to fall asleep. The most entertaining he became is when he turned into a demon. I said, thank God somebody got him. Right?
Yeah.
He looks like the Chucky doll in the face a little bit.
He does look like a Chucky doll. You should have did that. Maybe I would have called you queen and recast it. All right.
You just stole my whole first recasted. Obviously, I'm the queen.
My bad. I thought I heard you something. Last person I want to
you heard the truth.
I had one more recasted. Is this guy right here? This guy is the Crypt keeper, right? He's the main character. He's the director and all this other stuff. He's being led to the guillotine, and he's so happy. He got beautiful women, or should I do what Vic said? He has beautiful women on his arms, you know, as he's being led to the guillotine and everything like that. But this guy needed to be recasted because every time I saw it, I had to do a James. Like, who does this guy remind me of? Who does he look like? And I said, I got somebody.
You can't say doing my handman right
there you go. Right there. There you go. Right there. Right? This man has 1,400 reasons why that movie was going to do well. Right? This is the guy right here. And if you're going to sit here and tell me that he don't look like they're falling up some steps in the airplane.
Now, wait a minute. Now, explain that. Why does he look like the Crypt keeper?
What are you talking about? It's the hat. It's the hat. And both of them ran for president of the United States. Look at this. They look exactly like. Okay? Joe Biden is the Crypt keeper. In case you didn't know, now you know. Okay? That is why I go last, because I am really good with my recasting. Because I know James thought this picture was coming up. And I don't know.
I knew he was going to.
I don't know why. All I'll say is,
watch our Ant-Man. Go to the recasted.
What?
So you can see. He said, is that a real picture?
That's a real picture. That is
Ant-Man 3.
That is Ant-Man. He is shooting Ant-Man 3 right now. And Tales from Crypt.
How long has he been in the quantum realm? Quarantine has not been good to even people in Hollywood. Let me just say that.
Can I just say,
is a rough picture. No, Chris, that is a rough picture.
No, can I say if I could see this guy and this guy in the movie, I'll be happy. Like, it's still be the ultimate DC Marvel crossover. That's all I'm saying. But
Chrissy, you're telling me right now that's a complimentary picture? You telling me?
I'm just saying he's sick, and I don't want to make
no.
fun of someone.
No, I don't know. If he's sick, then that's an explanation.
Yeah,
if
he had
throat
cancer. Didn't he have?
No,
throat
he got
cancer?
rid of that. He got rid of that.
But when was this picture taken?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I say. Is that
this is before he created the PIM particles so he can feel better. Look, all I'm saying is this is my recasting for today. This guy, this guy, and this guy. Anyone, take your pick. Take your pick. Can be him. All right. He could easily play him since you want to talk about Roger Rabbit. And for the life of me, I don't know who I want to shoot me first between the Olsen twin and Danny from Tales of the Crypt Demon Knight. Ladies and gentlemen, that's recasted. You're welcome for bringing dignity into this segment. You're welcome. You're welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back with some quick final thoughts. Find out what we're reviewing next Tuesday. Hey, it's a new month. You know what that means. New picks.
In a world that's powered by violence, on the streets where the violent have power, a new generation carries on an old tradition.
All right, so next Thursday we'll be talking about Goodfellas, and I know them from Animaniacs. I remember seeing them in bird form. Never seen the movie though, but we'll be talking about it on Thursday, so join us for that. But right now we're going into our final thoughts for Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight. So
wow, I'm so excited for Goodfellas. Thank you so much. Hey, whose pick was that first? Does anybody remember?
Can I just say this? I saw a promo for next month's movies, and whoever did that, I don't know who did it, honestly. They did a fantastic job. It was blended in together. They all worked. I'm excited for all the entire lineup. I'm not just saying it because I'm on the show. I don't get paid for this. This is a passion project. I'm really looking forward to April. I really, really am.
Even my movie, James. Even mine.
I just said it. You're not special. I just said it.
Usually my movies get the hate.
No,
but I'm glad.
I analyze every movie for what it's supposed to be. That's it.
Well, now it's our time to analyze this movie and our final thoughts. So I'll go ahead and go first. But before I do, I just wanted to say when Chris brought up this picture, it reminded me of Captain America in Endgame when he came back.
Yeah.
Y'all should have been that recast.
Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves. That's so disrespectful. Chris, that is so disrespectful.
You recasted the boy from Deadpool 2 as a marshmallow man, a gigantic marshmallow man.
Yes.
You recasted a man who had throat cancer.
Yes.
He would love his wife.
No. He was having to say no. You are not going to sit here.
You recast him as
you're not going to sit here and make me feel bad about that. It was the fact that Marshmallow Man was having all those people running around, and so was the guy. So was that little kid. So that was what. Thank you, C. And so was the little guy. And as far as the throat cancer thing, I'm not saying anything about having throat cancer. I'm glad he's out there. I'm glad he's surviving. It's just that
he doesn't have it anymore. He got healed.
I'm glad he created the pill
part. It's an old picture that you put up. He looked rough in that picture.
Well, guess what? Tales of the Crypt is an old movie. See the Superior. I'm sorry, James, interrupted. You were doing your final thoughts with some tomfoolery. So
he was talking about Captain America in Endgame, and I think
that's disrespectful. That's just disrespectful. Don't
he looked just like that when he got back.
I see. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about with you two.
Okay. Thanks for not interrupting my final thoughts. Let me continue. So about this movie. Now, as we all know, I do not like the horror films. I don't like the horror genre. It's not my cup of tea. I went into the movie expecting to hate it. Now, I came out borderline not liking it, but It pulled at, when I was younger, me and my cousin used to watch this network. I don't think it's around anymore.
Spice Channel.
Chris, you didn't even see what I was going to say.
What?
I'm sorry. That was my fault. I couldn't help myself with that.
What did you say?
I said the Spice Channel.
I was thinking, I was like,
you are way too young. You are way too young. You are not that much younger than me. Don't do that.
What's the Spice Channel?
Everybody should know what the Spice Channel is.
It was like the Playboy Channel, but more explicit. So
it was pay-per-view adult movies.
What is the name of that channel?
How old were you guys watching this Spice?
Hey, we're not here to talk about us. We're here for
Excuse me.
Well, I was talking about.
You fetishize every man and every.
Here we go. Whose final thought is this? Let's all be quiet.
You're right. Go ahead. You're right. Go ahead, C. You have the floor.
So there was this network called FearNet, and it was for like all like the B movie, scary movies. Christy, have you heard it?
They still have it.
Yeah. Oh, they still have it. Okay.
Yeah.
So this very much reminded me of Friday nights at my cousin's house, watching these B movie scary movies and just laughing at them because they weren't really scary. They were just gross. Mm-hmm. So because of the nostalgia of that, I will give this movie a thumbs up. Even though we had one too many tits for my liking, but you know, it's the 90s.
Say that last part again, please.
Too many tits in this movie.
Too many tits is never a problem. What?
Okay, it is for me. I don't want to look at them, but there we go. Thumbs up.
Chrissy, just to remind the audience, one of your best stuff scenes in a previous episode, you did say you liked that golfing scene in Goldmember, right?
I did enjoy that scene.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify. Who would like to go next? Is it Vic? Would you like to go, Mr. Crypt?
Okay. Well, kitties, the one thing that I loved about this movie is that it was just nothing more than another episode of Tales from the Crypt. I'm done.
Were you Joker in the last part of that one?
Yeah, I was. I'm sorry, I'm fucked up, but that was awesome. I love this movie. This movie was great because it was another episode of Tales from the Crypt. All right, see you later.
Thank you, Mark Hamill. Listen, as you already know, I love this movie. I was delighted when Chrissy said that she loved this movie as well. As she says, you can never get enough tits. I thought that's what you said. I was trying to listen. I couldn't.
You can never get enough tits.
This movie is an all-star cast. It's true. You have so many different people, so many different movies. I could run down the names of the people, but if you see them, you'll know. For instance, Irene, who Chrissy is talking about, did you know that she was also in Avatar? She played the Queen Mother in Avatar.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Chris and I obviously know Breaker most famously for his role as Sloan, Agent Section 31 in DS9, but he's been in Roswell, as Chrissy said. He was in Iron Man 3 as the president. What we reviewed on this channel, go back and watch that if you want to see what we thought of that movie. Spoiler alert, it's trash. But there's so many different people in this movie. There's so many different people in this movie that, you know, for a B movie, as Chrissy said, and that's what it was, you know, when it came out, and even now it's a cult classic, but at the time, it's incredible that you get all these different people. You have Jada Pinkett Smith in there, you know what I mean, who the 90s, you know what I mean, she's just killing, just going up and up and up and up and up. I like their depiction of women in this movie, that they weren't just these frail flowers, right? That they were fully fleshed out people. Chrissy teased me earlier saying that, but I think a lot of movies, I don't know who writes them, and it's not always about gender because, and I'll use this, I think Catherine, I forget the name, the lady who directed Wonder Woman 84, she wrote it, right? So it's not always about gender, but I think a lot of times women are not written well in movies. In my opinion, they're not a three-dimensional character, a three-dimensional person, right? It's very myopic in how they operate, and I don't like that. I like three-dimensional people. So oftentimes it seems like I'm coming down on the woman is because the woman is written so bad. I don't know the actor, you know, who's portraying that character. It's just the character is written so terribly, and I don't like that. But in this one, I like that everybody got a chance to shine in an ensemble movie with so many different people who have done so much even at that point, right? I like that it's funny. It's a gross horror. The scene when Billy Zane's character, when he summons the other demons, you know what I mean? And he's mocking the Catholic Church, you know, how they, if you've ever been to a mass, you know, when they come down in between the pews and they have the incense, right? And that's how he's spreading his blood in the, you know, I'm not trying to be graphic or disrespectful, but that's how he's doing it in the scene when he summons the demons. They come up out the ground all slimy and he kisses them like they're beautiful babies. You know what I mean? The movie's just gross like that. People are getting shot in the eyes. Chris said, the sheriff gets a fist right through his head out the back. That's Looney Tunes craziness, it, no pun intended for Billy Zane, but it's zaniness, right? What is this? What am I watching, right? But it's a B movie. It's Tales from the Crypt. Yeah, it's not Titanic, you know what I mean? It's Tales from the Crypt. And I love that it stayed so true to what it was supposed to be, right? It's not supposed to be some grand thing. It's supposed to be a B pulp movie, and that's what it did, and it did it well, right? And I love that. Two more things that we learned during tonight's episode. Chrissy was a big Spice Girls fan. I didn't know that. Chris may have known that. Chris and I are Spice Girls fans. Her favorite Spice Girl was BDE Spice, just so you know that. And apparently either Chris really likes water or he really likes milk. I don't know what was in that jug. He was taking it to the head this entire episode. But I obviously give this movie a thumbs up.
If you want to be my lover,
you got to get with my friends. Now, look, this movie got a 6.7 out of 10 on IMDb.com. It actually is rated higher than you would think for a movie like this. So, shout out to that. Cost $13 million to make $21 million. So, no shout out for that. But let's talk about it. This movie had Billy Zane's Lex Luthor in it, and I thought he was entertaining at times, although kind of cheesy. Mm-hmm. James talks about the stars in this movie. Where? I didn't see them. I saw a bunch of B-list actors, sometimes C, who were normally are in terrible movies that I can't stand. Wasn't excited for any of them. Yes, Tales from the Crypt. I did not like Thomas Hayden Christian. I'm not a William Sadler fan. I'm not a fan of that guy from Roswell. I'm not a fan of Joe Biden.
Could you in a house?
So, here's my thoughts when it comes to this movie. I actually did enjoy a good part of this movie simply because of the fact that I saw it for what it was. However, I also found myself too many times saying, I want this movie to end. Therefore, I will be the one to give it a thumbs down. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, this was the last time for this month. We're going to talk about next month, but we're pretty much over. So, Crypt, do you have any energy to take us home? You over there looking like you're about to end up in a crypt.
I do, because I actually feel like I do belong in a crypt, but I do have the energy to take us home. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for joining us and another episode of Unpopular Reviews.
What's that?
Thank you very much. God bless and good night.
Morning, son.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
Put the gun down. I know who you are. Put the gun down!
Murder was the only way that everybody stayed in line.
Well, I guess there's limits to what money can buy. Not many.
Bigfoot! Could you back up a bit, Mr. Foot? You're out of focus.
Excuse me? Would you mind lending me your wife? Excuse me? For luck.
Time is on my side.